You want revenge? Then stop checking whether they noticed your transformation. Stop wondering if they regret losing you. Stop imagining the day they'll finally realize what they did. Because if you're still waiting for their reaction, they still have power over you. The greatest revenge isn't making someone regret losing you. It's becoming someone who no longer cares whether they do. When someone hurts you, especially someone you loved, your mind naturally wants justice. You want them to understand what they did. You want them to realize what they lost. You want them to see you succeed, stronger, healthier, more confident, more successful. And maybe, deep down, you want them to look at you one day and think, I made a mistake. But there's a problem with that. If your entire transformation is built around making someone else regret losing you, you're still building your life around them. You're still checking. You're still wondering. You're still waiting. And that's not freedom. That's another form of attachment. The Stoics understood something much deeper. You cannot control what another person thinks about you. You cannot control whether they regret their decision. You cannot control whether they miss you. You cannot control whether they ever understand your value. But you can control what happens next. You can decide what kind of man you become after the pain. And that decision matters far more than their reaction ever will. Stop trying to prove them wrong. You don't need to prove your ex wrong. You don't need to prove your family wrong. You don't need to prove your friends wrong. You don't need to prove the people who underestimated you wrong. You don't even need to prove your younger self wrong. You need to build a life that makes sense to you. Your health isn't for them. Your money isn't for them. Your discipline isn't for them. Your confidence isn't for them. Your peace isn't for them. It's yours. And the moment you understand that, your transformation becomes much more powerful, because now you're not changing to be seen. You're changing because you've finally decided that your life deserves better. That is where discipline begins, not with motivation, not with some dramatic promise that everything will change tomorrow. It begins with small decisions nobody sees. Getting out of bed when you said you would, training your body when you don't feel like it, eating better, controlling your spending, reading instead of scrolling, working when nobody is applauding, going to sleep instead of chasing another distraction, walking away from people who constantly disturb your peace, keeping promises to yourself day after day, quietly, without announcing it. Because you don't become unrecognizable by changing your appearance. You become unrecognizable by changing your standards. The things you once tolerated, you no longer tolerate. The people you once chased, you no longer chase. The situations that once controlled your emotions no longer control you. The version of yourself that needed constant validation slowly disappears, and something stronger takes its place. A man who knows what he wants, a man who knows what he will no longer accept, a man who can walk away without begging to be understood, a man who can be alone without feeling abandoned, a man who can lose someone without losing himself. That is transformation. And here's something important. Don't announce your comeback. You don't need to tell everyone you're changing. You don't need to post every workout, every achievement, every new habit, every goal. You don't need to explain how much you've grown. Just grow. Let your life become the announcement. There is power in disappearing from the noise and quietly building something better. Let people wonder. Let them misunderstand. Let them think you're still the same. You don't need to correct them, because eventually your life will answer for you. And maybe one day they will see you. Maybe they'll notice the difference. Maybe they'll wonder what happened. Maybe they'll regret what they did. Maybe they won't. And here's where the real transformation happens. You won't care, because you'll finally understand that their regret was never the goal. your peace was, your health was, your purpose was, your self-respect was, your future was. The moment you stop asking, do they miss me? Do they regret losing me? Are they watching me? And start asking, am I becoming the man I respect? Everything changes, because now your attention is where it belongs, on your life, on your character, on your future, on the people who actually matter, on the work that needs to be done, on the man you're becoming. That is the difference between revenge and transformation. Revenge keeps you looking backward. Transformation makes you look forward. Revenge says, I hope they suffer. Transformation says, I hope I never become that version of myself again. Revenge says, I want them to regret losing me. Transformation says, I refuse to lose myself again. And that second one is freedom. There will come a day when you look back at the person who hurt you and realize they were part of your story, but they were never supposed to be the ending. The pain changed you. The loneliness changed you. The rejection changed you. The failure changed you. But you decide what those experiences turn you into. They can make you bitter, or they can make you wiser. They can make you desperate, or they can make you disciplined. They can make you afraid of being alone, or they can teach you how to stand on your own. The choice is yours. And one day, someone may look at you and barely recognize the man you became. But by then, you won't need them to, because you'll have something much better than their regret. You'll have peace, purpose, discipline, self-respect, and a life you don't want to escape from. That's the real transformation, not becoming someone they regret losing, becoming someone you never want to lose again. So stop checking the past. Stop waiting for an apology. Stop imagining their reaction. Stop trying to make them jealous. Stop trying to prove your worth. Take all that energy and put it back into yourself. Build your body. Build your mind. Build your character. Build your future. And if you're rebuilding your mental strength along the way, the Stoic Mirror app is there as a simple space for reflection and men's mental health. Use it to pause, check in with yourself, and keep moving forward when life gets heavy. You don't need revenge, you need direction. You don't need their attention, you need your own respect. You don't need to become someone they regret losing. Become someone you are proud to be. Because the greatest victory isn't making someone realize what they lost. It's realizing you were never lost. You were rebuilding. And this time, you're building a life that belongs to you. The mirror doesn't lie. It only shows what's already there.